The psychology of risk. Why entrepreneurs take leaps others won't. Welcome to EntreView, where we explore what separates those who build empires from those who dream about them. Today, we're examining the fascinating psychology behind entrepreneur risk-taking and why some people jump while others stay frozen at the edge. The risk perception gap, seeing what others miss. When most people look at a risky business decision, they see potential failure, financial loss, and uncertainty. Entrepreneurs look at the exact same situation and see opportunity, calculated probabilities, and a path forward. This isn't about recklessness. Research shows that successful entrepreneurs don't actually take bigger risks than everyone else. They perceive risks differently. A study from Harvard Business School found that entrepreneurs evaluate risk through a lens of controllability rather than probability. While most people ask, "What could go wrong?" entrepreneurs ask, "What can I control to make this work?" This cognitive reframing is powerful. Entrepreneurs who excel at risk-taking tend to focus on actionable variables they can influence rather than dwelling on factors outside their control. They break down massive, seemingly insurmountable challenges into manageable pieces where their skills and efforts can make a real difference. The role of loss aversion. Flipping the script. Loss aversion is one of the most studied phenomena in behavioral economics. Most people feel the pain of losing $100 more intensely than the pleasure of gaining $100. This asymmetry keeps many potential entrepreneurs locked in safe but unfulfilling careers. Entrepreneur risk-taking operates differently. Successful founders often exhibit what researchers call regret aversion instead of loss aversion. They fear the regret of not trying more than they fear the pain of failure. When Elon Musk invested his entire PayPal fortune into SpaceX and Tesla, he wasn't ignoring the risk of losing everything. He was more afraid of never knowing if he could have succeeded. This psychological shift doesn't happen overnight. It develops through what psychologists call exposure therapy to smaller risks. Many entrepreneurs build their risk tolerance gradually, starting with smaller bets and learning to manage the emotional roller coaster of uncertainty. The optimism bias. Fuel or delusion? Entrepreneurs score consistently higher on optimism measures than the general population. Some researchers argue this is dangerous delusion. Others call it necessary fuel. The truth is more nuanced. Effective entrepreneur risk-taking requires what Stanford psychologist Albert Bandura calls self-efficacy, the belief that your actions can produce desired outcomes. This isn't blind optimism, it's evidence-based confidence built from past wins, relevant skills, and a track record of solving problems. Sara Blakely, founder of Spanx, grew up in a household where her father asked at dinner, "What did you fail at today?"
This reframing taught her to see failure as data rather than defeat. When she faced rejection from manufacturer after manufacturer, her optimism wasn't baseless. It was rooted in her understanding of the product, her persistence, and her willingness to learn from each no. The danger zone exists at both extremes. Excessive pessimism prevents action entirely. Excessive optimism leads to ignoring warning signs. The sweet spot is what researchers call realistic optimism, maintaining belief in eventual success while honestly assessing current challenges. The social calculation, redefining failure. One of the most overlooked aspects of entrepreneur risk-taking is social risk. In many environments, business failure carries significant social stigma. This invisible pressure keeps countless talented people from ever starting. Entrepreneurs who successfully take leaps often operate within different social frameworks. They surround themselves with communities where failure is reframed as education. Silicon Valley's famous fail fast culture isn't just rhetoric. It's a social system that reduces the psychological cost of trying. This social recalibration matters because humans are fundamentally social creatures. We make decisions based not just on financial calculations, but on how we'll be perceived by our communities. Entrepreneur risk-taking requires either finding a community that supports it or developing strong enough internal validation that external judgment matters less. The preparation paradox, ready versus perfect. There's a persistent myth that entrepreneurs are impulsive risk-takers who jump without looking. Research paints a different picture.
Most successful founders engage in extensive preparation before their leap appears to happen. However, they also recognize what psychologists call the action bias, the understanding that at some point, more preparation becomes procrastination. Entrepreneur risk-taking involves developing comfort with incomplete information. You'll never have all the answers. The question becomes, do I have enough to take the next step? Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, famously said, "If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late." This reflects a sophisticated understanding of risk. Waiting for perfection guarantees you'll miss market timing, waste resources, and potentially let competitors get ahead. Building your risk muscle. Practical applications. The psychology of entrepreneur risk-taking isn't fixed. It's a skill you can develop through deliberate practice. Start with manageable risks in areas where failure won't devastate you. Launch a side project while keeping your job. Test a business idea with a small group before going all in. Each successful navigation of uncertainty builds your psychological capacity for larger risks. Keep a failure resume, documenting what you learned from setbacks. This practice, used by many successful entrepreneurs, helps rewire how your brain processes risk and failure. It transforms anxious what-ifs into valuable data points. Develop a personal decision-making framework for evaluating risks. Write down your criteria. What resources can I afford to lose? What's my backup plan? What will I learn regardless of outcome? This structure helps move risk assessment from emotional reaction to analytical process. The path of entrepreneur risk-taking isn't about becoming fearless. It's about developing a more sophisticated relationship with fear and uncertainty. Every founder who's built something meaningful has felt the same doubts you're experiencing right now. The difference is they learned to act despite those feelings, rather than waiting for them to disappear. Thank you for exploring the psychology of risk with us. Understanding why entrepreneurs take leaps others won't is the first step toward taking your own. If this resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to EntreView for more insights into the entrepreneurial mindset. Remember, the risks you don't take often end up being the ones you regret most.